The last thing I painted before giving it all up wasn't even truly my own anymore. It was a soulless copy, a perfect echo of what a machine thought people wanted to see. And the worst part is, for months, I thought it was my choice. This video isn't just a story. It's a warning. I'm going to tell you how a simple digital whisper almost destroyed the only thing that made me feel alive, how these algorithms silently rewrite our decisions. But most importantly, I'm going to show you how I unplugged the machine and how you, too, can take back control of your own story. Stick around until the very end, because the last step is the one nobody ever dares to take. Chapter 1: The Innocent Dream. About 3 years ago, my life revolved around one thing: painting. My little studio was my sanctuary. The walls were covered with explosive landscapes, purple skies, forests of an almost fluorescent green. I painted raw emotion, nature as I felt it, not as it was. Every brushstroke was a liberation. I was proud of my work, even if only a handful of friends ever saw it. One day, one of them told me I should share it online, that the world needed to see my colors. The idea both terrified and excited me. I created an account on a very visual platform, without any expectations. I posted a photo of my favorite canvas, a sunset over a raging sea. I received 37 likes. 37. To me, it was like the Louvre had called me. I was euphoric. I started posting regularly, once or twice a week. It was a honeymoon phase. I was discovering a community, receiving lovely comments and encouragement. I felt seen, validated. I spent hours responding to everyone. I didn't know it yet, but with every like, every share, every second spent on the app, I was feeding an invisible entity. I was teaching it about myself, handing it the keys to my brain. The algorithm was silently watching me. Chapter 2: The First Whisper. Everything changed one rainy evening. I was in a sullen mood, and instead of painting one of my vibrant landscapes, I found myself sketching a portrait. An anonymous face, highly contrasted, with deep shadows and a lost gaze. It was dark, almost unsettling. It wasn't like me at all. I posted it on a whim, almost as a joke, with a caption along the lines of mood of the day. I went to bed without another thought. The next morning, my phone had exploded with notifications. Hundreds of notifications. The portrait had over 2,000 likes. 2,000. My colorful landscapes, which took me weeks of work and into which I poured my heart, usually topped out at 50, maybe 100 likes on a good day. I felt an electric shock, a pure dopamine rush. It was the first time. The first whisper. The algorithm had just told me, without a word, this. Do more of this. People like this. I'll reward you if you do more of this. A small voice in my head protested, telling me it wasn't me, that it was just an accident. But another voice, much louder, the voice of validation, screamed with joy. And that was the voice I chose to listen to. Chapter 3: The Silent Drift. I tried to ignore it at first. I kept painting my landscapes. But something had changed. Every time I posted one, the digital silence was deafening. 20 likes. 30 likes. The whisper returned, insistent, "You're wasting your time. Do what works." So, I gave in. I painted another dark portrait. Boom. Thousands of likes again. Hundreds of new followers. It became a game, an experiment. I'd post a landscape, nothing. A portrait, glory. The algorithm left me no room for doubt. It had identified a pattern and relentlessly pushed me to follow it. Slowly, insidiously, my color palette began to darken. Fluorescent greens were replaced by grays, blacks, deep blues. Open, free landscapes gave way to tortured faces, confined within tight frames. My friends would tell me what I was doing was interesting, it was different. But I didn't hear the concern in their voices. I only heard the sound of notifications. I told myself I was evolving as an artist, exploring a new facet of my creativity. But that wasn't all, the truth was much uglier. Chapter 4, The Obsession. The passion was gone. Completely. In the mornings, I no longer woke up with the urge to create, but with the urgency to produce. I no longer asked myself what I felt like painting today, but what the algorithm would like today. My studio, once a haven of peace, had become a content factory. I spent more time analyzing my statistics than holding a paintbrush. Engagement rate, reach, best times to post, these words had become my new language. The pure joy of mixing colors had been replaced by performance anxiety. I painted quickly, soullessly, following a formula. A sad face, dramatic lighting, a dark background. Publish. Wait. Analyze. Repeat. Those around me were worried. My girlfriend at the time told me one evening she didn't recognize me anymore. She said I wasn't painting, I was calculating. And my canvases, they were cold. Where had my colors gone? I got defensive. I told her she didn't understand art, that I was finally becoming a recognized artist. The truth is, I had become a slave. A willing slave to an invisible master who rewarded me with likes and shares. I was a prisoner of the digital whisper, and I didn't even realize it. The fall was going to be brutal. Chapter 5, The Crash. And then, the miracle happened. Or what I believed to be a miracle. I received an email from a highly reputable art gallery. The owner, an influential figure in the art world, had noticed me. He wrote that he had stumbled upon my very first works online, my landscapes. He said there was a rare force, a soul in my work, and he would like to meet me and see my portfolio. My heart stopped. It was the chance of a lifetime. The ultimate dream. I spent a week preparing my portfolio. I selected my 20 best canvases. 20 dark portraits, technically perfect, optimized for the algorithm. I was so proud. I already imagined his praise, the contract, the exhibition. On the day of the appointment, I entered his office, my heart pounding. He greeted me warmly. I unpacked my canvases one by one. He looked at them in silence, his face growing increasingly stern. The silence stretched, heavy, unbearable. Finally, he placed his hands on his desk, looked me straight in the eyes, and uttered the sentence that changed everything. He said that he had seen my early work, that it was raw, alive, and vibrant. But this, he gestured towards my canvases, this had no soul. He said it was technically impeccable, but empty. Just digital noise on a canvas. He asked where the artist he had discovered had gone. Chapter 6, The Brutal Awakening. My world collapsed. His words echoed in me like a clap of thunder. Empty. Soulless. Digital noise. I walked out of his office like an automaton. I don't even remember the journey home. I sat in my studio, surrounded by those sad faces I had painted. And for the first time, I saw them for what they were, strangers. Products. They had nothing of me. I scrolled through my own online profile, going back further and further, all the way to the beginning. And there I saw it. My first post. The sunset over the raging sea. It was like seeing the face of a lost friend again. That was me. That was real. The realization hit me with unbelievable force. I hadn't evolved. I had been formatted. The algorithm hadn't helped me find an audience. It had transformed me into a version of myself that pleased the machine. It hadn't amplified my voice, it had suffocated it, replacing it with an optimized echo. The whisper was actually a command, and I had obeyed without even realizing it. I had traded my passion for digital validation. I had sold my soul for likes. And here's the most important thing, it wasn't the algorithm's fault. It was mine. Chapter 7, The Reclamation. That day, I made a radical decision. I unplugged everything. I uninstalled the app from my phone. I covered all the dark portraits with white paint. One by one. It was a ritual, a purification. For a month, I painted nothing. I walked in nature, read books, relearned how to be bored. I silenced the external noise to finally hear my own voice again. And then, one morning, the urge returned. The pure, innocent urge. I bought new colors, the brightest I could find. And I started painting landscapes again. For myself, and only for myself. It was difficult. At first, I still had the reflex to think, will this get likes? But I learned to ignore that voice. Today, I've reinstalled the app. But my relationship with it is totally different. I post what I want, when I want. A vibrant landscape that gets 20 likes? Perfect. That's 20 people who saw my soul, not a million people who saw a product. I took back control. How? By consciously setting my own rules for the game. First rule, creation comes before publication. I no longer paint to post, I post what I have painted. Second rule, I turn off notifications. I decide when I look at statistics, not the other way around. And finally, the most important rule, I trust my inner compass, not external metrics. My pleasure, my emotion, those are my only performance indicators. This digital whisper is everywhere. It doesn't just concern artists. It influences what you read, the music you listen to, the ideas you're exposed to, and even the people you meet. It gently pushes us towards the most predictable, most monetizable version of ourselves. Taking back control isn't about leaving the digital world. It's about navigating it with awareness. It's actively choosing what you consume, questioning suggestions, and above all, never letting an algorithm define who you are or what you should like. Your soul is not a statistic. Don't forget to subscribe.